Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy,
where we give you the courtesy of conversation
that's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to catch us every Friday, 7 p.m. on the Friday Fix. And every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific time on our Sunday Town Hall. Hello, Wesley. How are you today?
I'm good. How about yourself, man?
I'm glad segregation's back. Anyways, how you doing? No, I'm not glad about it. I'm just, you got to smile and laugh through it, because if you don't, it'll make you mad and crazy.
Absolutely, man. As much stuff as we actually go through and watch here all the time and see, like watching even what's going on over in Israel and watching the kids come out. It's just, it really messes with your head when you look at it and you can see it on a consistent basis like this. And we pretty much, us reporting like we do, it kind of like, and knowing the things that we get a chance to know and see it play out,
Sometimes I sit there and I think about news reporters and I'm like, bro, what do y'all do after that?
Yeah,
do you go out
man.
and drink? Do you smoke? Like, do you cry at night? Like,
I was going to say something like that too. People need to like put more respect. I mean, even though we become like journalists ourselves, but people need to put more respect on them, because they have to go through a lot to see as much as you see, man.
There's so much stuff that we don't even tell you about, and you see it, you're just like,
yeah, we only can report on so much stuff. There's just so many other things that we're like, there's like China just poisoned, the Zambia River. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of stuff that we don't actually report on. Kill everything. I mean, this is like sustenance to people, like, hundreds of thousands of people who use these rivers for their daily life. And now they've got like some type of like a mining operation that just flooded the river with, basically because the mine collapsed. It's just crazy, but we'll keep going and stuff. Anyway, reputed LA gang leader posed as activist and a music mogul while running deadly mafia-like racket, feds say. A man reputed to be a Los Angeles gang leader passed himself off as a community activist while he was running a mafia-like organization and committing a number of offenses, including the murder of an aspiring rapper, officials said Wednesday. Eugene Big U Henley Jr., 58, was still at large late Wednesday morning and will eventually face charges of extortion, human trafficking, fraud, murder, and federal authorities said. Sylvester V. Robinson, 59, Mark Bear Claw Martin, 50, and Henley were among 19 people accused in the wide-ranging charges, authorities said. While Henley assumed the role of community peacemaker, officials said he was really an active member of the Rolling 60s Crips street gang, officials said. He has maintained the image of an entertainment industry entrepreneur running a music label, of somebody who gives back to the community here in Los Angeles, funding the South LA-based charity, Developing Options, which purports is supposed to help at-risk youth escape gang life and escape the perils of gangs in high crime areas. Acting U.S. Attorney General Joseph McNeely told reporters. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of murder, a thief, a liar, and a cheat, McNeely continued.
And so Big U made a couple of statements also before he got locked up. He made a statement saying Wack Hundred is working with the FBI. He said he's working with the FBI. Like, y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community. It ain't been nothing but help to our community. And Big U has done a lot of positive things for his community. But I remember you were also saying that, he was making people check in with him. And if a lot of people don't understand what they do, basically it's just this is how they terrorize black people, terrorize other black people. They see a successful black person and then they have them come to the city. And especially in LA, they know when you're landing. They know when you're getting there. So they make you come check in, but they're extorting them for money. The same thing Trick does in Detroit. Trick actually, he makes the people, he's like, you're going to come out here, you're going to get our money. You need to come do something for the community. But only in our black communities when you have to check in. You know what I'm saying? Austin Reeves ain't got to check into LA.
Absolutely not.
Luka didn't have to check into LA.
And they were saying, like, basically, there was a lot of players that were, had donated money to his charity. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal had donated money to his charity. I think Draymond Green had donated money to his charity. So they're saying that these players were not saying those two in particular, but other basketball players, they said, would check in, and other sports figures would check in. And he'd tell them to give them $100,000 for protection, allegedly. We don't know if any of this is true or not. And they said basically he had one of his artists that he had from his label. He had him killed in Las Vegas, because of some dispute with, recording time or whatever else. There's also been reports of other things that allegedly he's done. I don't want to bring those things up at this point in time because he's already going through a fake case right now. And so, he's been a part. Everyone, the police knew. I mean, he had like a rapport with the local police, with the LAPD, where he was doing a program with them to help at risk youth, because he had been a gang member himself. He was a known gang member. They knew this about him. So for them to bring this up about him now is kind of like, what are we really doing right now? Why are we bringing this up about Big U now when you knew, when you worked with him, paid him to go work with at-risk youth because he was formerly a gang member? Because
they only need you for so long, and then when they can take you down, like they even have one that's saying it's alleged that Big U orchestrated a robbery of a dispensary, which was carried out by Loose Cannon. Earlier this year, Loose Cannon discussed the robbery on No Jumpers. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that, you artists, you'll say like, hey, these people are the feds, this person's the feds, right? But you go on these shows like Vlad, you go on No Jumper, and these shows aren't doing anything to promote positive images of black folks. You go on there and you tell these stories for clout, and the police are watching you constantly. It's Denzel Washington said, he's like, it's crazy how we try to keep people out of trouble. He's not word for word. He's like, but it's terrible that we make it so easy for them to take us down. You know what I'm saying? You're going on these shows and look at these sites that they have on here. You know what I'm saying? It's a bigger thing. They take it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
They take it, and all they push is negativity to our children and to us and to our youth. These aren't black-owned, outfits. You know what I'm saying? They're white-owned outfits, but it makes it worse that you go on these shows and you promote your lifestyle there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't be promoting. Think about it. Back in the 90s, I always tell my kids that back in the 91, 89, 90, it scared the establishment. Fear of a black panic, black love, crisscross or cross colors. We had black love back then. It was beautiful. I was moved when I was a kid. I saw them marching inside the video of Fight the Power, bro. And I'm in the living room marching, making the moves. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what I saw as a kid. Yeah. So I have black love. You know what I'm saying? These kids today, they're growing up. You got your kids watching Sexy Red, Young Thug. People, you have these white media outlets praising people coming out of jail, posting, hey, this rapper died on this day, but never post their birthdays. They got articles of rappers that shot somebody in a neighborhood, an up-and-coming rapper, right? But you can type in that rapper's name, right, in that same website, and you will see nothing about them promoting their music. They only promote the worst of us.
And that's a fact, you know what I mean? But I think some of these people have not to dispute what you're saying. What you're saying is 110% correct. We only do see the negative when it comes to our community. I think some of these people I think he's a product of his environment at the same time too. So a lot of times when they go on these shows and they talk about what they're talking about, it's not always to brag about what they've been through. I think sometimes they're telling them like, this is who they are. You're just getting a raw form of really what it is. Just like our music back then, when we were making music like Fight the Power, we were making music like Fear of a Black Planet, things like that. You were getting the raw truth behind what was going on in our community. It wasn't always the people who you saw reporting the facts, which were like, we call them MCs, you know what I'm saying? But the rapper may not have always lived that life, but he may be reporting facts of his people, his friends around the community. And Big U was one of those people. They said that the character of Debo was made about Big U.
Really?
Yeah. Big U was like,
he was that dude. He got locked up for a little bit.
Man, he was locked up for a while. You know what I'm saying? Big U was really, you know what I'm saying? He was really somebody within that community. Not to say, sometimes his son, I think, is about to go to the NFL. One of his sons is like, I think he just got drafted to the Raiders or something like that, about to go to the NFL. Like, so it's not like he's done a lot, man, to try and change. It's not like sometimes there's things that's in you. We got to remember, like when they send you away to prison, places like that, those are not rehabilitation places. They're sending you away to hell. You're basically training you to become, either softer or harder, because that softness ain't going to get you anything good in an environment like that. So I understand when people, sometimes we look at these people and say they should change, they should do this, but depending on how deep you've been inside that matrix, it's depending on how far sometimes you can almost get out at the same time too. Because it wasn't like they were just handing him money when he came out. He had to go back to the same environment, deal with the same things that he was already doing when he was in there, because there's no big changes you're going to get to make when you're in there. You're not going to get to be somebody different because they remember who you were on the streets.
Yeah, no, I remember when he was getting out there, like, yo, Big U about to be out, Big U getting out, this and this and that. But the same thing with Big Meech, you know what I'm saying? He was hoping Meech's name was bigger. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? You can say, oh, I'm a product of my environment, but you can always change your environment. That's why I don't believe rappers that got millions of dollars rapping about telling people to sell drugs and pull licks, because they ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Who's to say they haven't done it, though?
Like, for example, bro, like, I'm not going to put your business out here, but, your brother and all, just like the rest of us, bro, we was ripping and running these streets. We tore this city up, right? But look at us now.
Mm-hmm.
We're fixing it.
No, absolutely.
We could stay products of our environment because there's sure enough for people out here that are still doing what they were doing when they were 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we saw what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Bailey too. We said, nah, let's stop. Let's save the children.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and I'm not disagreeing with you because it's a factual, but I just feel like there's different environments that we all come from too. There's some people who come from environments. We come from an environment where we could step away and there's still not going to be repercussions. People are not going to be like, oh, I remember you. And there might not be something that happened behind that. He's from an environment that if he steps away from that environment, that doesn't mean people around him, they don't get an opportunity to step away. He may not even get that opportunity unless he moves completely away from where he's at. You know what I mean? Unless you get completely away from where you're at. But I'm not trying. This is no excuse for him. If you laid in the bed, I'm saying you made your bed. What they always say, it is what it is. If you stayed in that environment and you had the opportunity, you were getting $100,000, this kind of money here and there, you could have moved anywhere. You could have been, but it's not going to change who you are. People are still going to recognize who you are. Yeah. And sometimes you'll let that, that kind of that crown or what you've gained, that status get to your head. And now it gets you in a 19, 20 man indictment where you're facing probably potentially life in prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he's old enough. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. I mean, it's a sad situation, you know what I'm saying? But extorting basketball players. They even had the one guy go on TV talk, or No Jumpers. I mean, No Jumpers is the number one place. Them and Vlad, that's where everybody goes and tells on themselves. Yeah. Stop making it so easy for them. You guys want to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Don't you know gangsters move in silence and violence? Do we not understand that? You know what I'm saying? People don't know how to live these days. You guys, I see kids they got the guns and the cameras wanting to be seen. The police are always watching. You make it so easy for them. You be like, oh, somebody's snitching. Yeah, homie, you told on yourself.
They tell the whole entire story, man. You're on camera hitting up the hood. There's nothing you can really say. You're throwing up gang signs on the internet. You're out with your homies doing whatever you're doing. Talk about hood business. Y'all having arguments. Y'all doing all this stuff, and it's right. They got all the evidence. Is like all I gotta do is show the people and let you tell the story for yourself, because that's pretty much what you've done. To me, we come from a time where you just, you don't even want to be famous. You know what I mean? People think that, that's the cool part about it. But I don't know. I feel like, a lot of people, you need to stay out the limelight, because people want to be seen nowadays because they feel like it brings some type of, it's glorified. You know what I mean? They look at Meech, and like you said, he was glorifying what he did. But at the same time, though, look at him now. They're trying to tear him down behind everything that they accusing him of. But he went and did that 20 years. Ain't nobody else had to do that 20 piece but him.
It's sad that he came back to it just this time where, everything's run through the internet. These people, when I was young, you say something about somebody, you gotta see him sooner or later.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So people were kind of cautious about how they talked about people. Yep. But nowadays, you know what I'm saying, you got people making fake accounts, getting online, saying whatever they want to say. And like Dave Chappelle said, Twitter's not a real place. It's just a website. So, I mean, hopefully they can come out of this and come out better people. I doubt it, because, if you got the RICO on them, they already got the evidence on them. It's kind of a wrap. Only person ever breached the RICO was Murder Inc. That was a Fed case.
I mean, but it's like, at the end of the day, like 50 said, they really wasn't after him. They just wanted to keep him at bay so they can go after Supreme, because they was like, basically, he was just a money man. Yeah. Supreme was the one out there doing whatever else. But
yeah. Lawsuit argues Trump use of war authority for deportation could be limitless. Plaintiffs suing the Trump administration over use of war authority to deport alleged gang members warned that failing to block the president from its use would mean anyone could be treated as an enemy alien. The lawyer for Venezuelan migrants suing the government said Tuesday in appellate court filing, the implications of the government position are staggering. If the president can designate any group as enemy aliens under the act, and this designation is unreviewable, then there is no limit on who can be sent to a Salvadorian prison, or any limit on how long they will remain there. Those subjects to the 1798 Alien Enemies Act can be arrested, detained, and deported without the due process protection outlined in the U.S. immigration's law, including opportunities to see a judge and request asylum. Instead, they may be treated as enemy aliens and processed under America's wartime law. President Trump invoked the act Saturday and used it to send 2 planes carrying alleged Venezuelan gang members to prison in El Salvador.
So I mean, they just basically told you that anybody can be sent. He asked for the right today too, to basically say that I don't want to have to tell you guys. I want to keep it a state secret who I send there. You know what I mean? So we don't get to know who you send there. I was online. I was having like a conversation. Like I'm always online having these conversations on these political, pages, right? This guy goes in there like, so you guys, something like you're defending Venezuela. You want Venezuelan gang members here? I said, no, we just want to know who you sent. He was like, why do you want to know? Why does it matter? Basically, I'm like, what do you mean? First, you guys are like are telling everybody else you're a sheep for not questioning what the government is saying. To the people who question everything the government's been saying, I said, he basically came back and he was like, oh, well, do you question the government any other time? I said, yeah. He said, why? I said, Tuskegee, Black Wall Street, Emmett Till. You know what I mean? We can keep going if you want to.
You guys didn't question the government during COVID-19? You know what I mean? When the shutdown happened? The whole thing, that should worry everybody. Because think about this. What if you decide, hey, you're a Trump voter, you're like, I don't like what he's doing. You form a group and you guys are like, you want to protest what he's talking about. Well, now you're an alien enemies.
Yep. And then they're going to snatch you up.
They're part of the Ukrainians and they can ship you off.
Without telling people your name. They didn't even tell people names.
Nobody. That's what the judge is asking.
Yeah, like who are you taking?
Who are these people? And they're refusing to tell them because not all of them were gang members.
And not even on top of that, it could have been American citizens. It could have been anybody. We don't know who this was here.
Because if you're doing something correct, right? You should be transparent about it.
Because they talk about transparency. I had a friend of mine. Everything about this administration is transparent. Well, why don't you want to tell the names of the people who you sent down here to El Salvador? Because you want to start sending Americans down there. It's just weird. I saw people. I know people who's talked about even sending Americans down to El Salvador. Like that would make sense to send because we know who they're going to send. The moment you open that door to allow them to send anybody down there, who do you think they're going to send first? They're going, the worst criminals. Who do you think the worst criminals are? They already try to lie to you and tell you that blacks commit more crimes than whites do. European Americans do. They lie. That's a lie. It's a blatant lie. The numbers bear out. Look at the fentanyl death numbers. It tells you those are crimes committed, not just the deaths themselves. But you think the person died the first time they took fentanyl? You think they weren't stealing stuff? You think they weren't running the streets? Yeah, they were, but they weren't being convicted of anything or charged with anything because you're under police in those neighborhoods.
Yeah, no, they get slaps on the wrist. That's why they have the crazy stuff going on now, running around doing all kind of stuff. I watched the people fight in a restaurant, drunk. You know what I'm saying? And it teaches now because we're so over policed. We know that if we do something, we at least have to try to get away with it. You know what I'm saying? These people, I saw the video. The one people come out the restaurant, and the girl was in the cop's face, and she kicked him in the dick. And then the cop took the girl, slammed her on the ground. The boyfriend came, started punching on the police. I ain't never seen nothing like that a day in my life.
You know what I mean? Because we already know that's murder game. They're going to kill us. I mean, it's like the dude who pulled the knife on the cop, got out of his car, pulled the knife on the cop, got back in his car, tried to drive away, all kinds of extra stuff.
You see the one guy chased the one white dude chased the cop with the knife. The cop's like, put it down. Put it down.
We wouldn't, but we all know the truth about that. We know how these things go.
Don't let me have a Three Musketeers in my hand. I'm getting shot.
He shot the lady. After he told her to turn that boiling water off. You know what I mean? In her house. Man, I'll let the water boil if I want to let it boil.
She said, I'll rebuke you. He's like, I didn't know what that meant.
And so that's why he killed her. But that's
why he killed her.
Yeah, the point of it is, man, at the end of the day, man, this dude is doing some illegal stuff. We all know that he is, but half of us are just want to be oblivious to it because you want to pretend like you're good with it. But you really are good with it. You really are good with all this stuff because it's not affecting.
As long as it's not affecting them yet. But by the time, and listen here closely, folks, by the time it does affect you, you won't have any legal clause or any laws to be able to defend yourselves.
Because what if it's turned around and we start doing this to y'all? You know what I mean? Like it kind of seems like a us and them, but we're really protecting you more than you even know. Because in reality, when that Section 8 goes, when those food stamps go, when all these programs are gone, it's going to be you and your families, not us so much, your families.
Yeah, we're pretty resilient people. I mean, if you think about it, that's why America doesn't have health care because they didn't want to give it to black folks. You know, when you people make it out of slavery and then you live through Jim Crow and then you make it through civil rights and then you make it the biggest protest in America, you got to notice we're pretty resilient people. Now, Can you match that? Who knows? Because some people, as soon as they feel a little adversity, you know what I'm saying? They're like, I got to go meet white Jesus. Pow. So
Roberts rejects Trump's call for impeaching judge who ruled against his deportation plans. In an extraordinary display of conflict between the executive and judicial branches, Chief Justice John Roberts rejected calls for the impeaching judges Tuesday, shortly after President Donald Trump demanded the removal of one who ruled against his deportation plans. The rebuke from the Supreme Court's leader demonstrated how the controversy over recent deportations of the alleged Venezuelan gang members has inflamed tensions over the judiciary's role, with legal case challenging Trump's actions now threatening to spiral into a clash of constitutional powers. For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision, Roberts said. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. The rare statement came hours after a social media post from Trump, who described U.S. District Judge James Boasberg as an unelected troublemaker and agitator. Boasberg said had issues and order blocking deportation fights that Trump has carried out by invoking wartime authorities from an 18th century law. I mean,
you know what's crazy? We said this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said and this is the Supreme Court standing up to Donald Trump. The Supreme Court gave him that power because they thought they could still control him and be over him. I know if you ever seen Game of Thrones, right? Donald Trump is Joffrey right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you think you can control and maintain him. Wait when the Supreme Court pisses him off and John DeSantis, that's his name, John DeSantis, the guy that runs fucking Florida that cheated to get it. Anyways, they're trying to make laws right now to go around the judges and take them and put them in places they want the jurisdiction to be. The Supreme Court
about Elon just trying to buy the judge for $5 million. He just put $5 million into a small little judge race. I can't remember where it's at. $5 million. They're trying to buy off the government. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, they can buy off. They got the money to do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody's got a price.
I mean, and this is just another thing. This is what J.D. Vance had talked about already in a 2021 interview. He came out and he said, you know what we should do? We should let the judges make their decision, and then we do what we're going to do anyways, and then tell the judges to enforce your decision. You know, because they know the judges cannot enforce their own law. What are they going to get off the bench and go enforce it? The judges don't have access to, any kind of an army, any kind of a police force, nothing. They don't. They're relying upon state officials or, the executive branch or whoever else to actually enforce whatever their rulings are. But this is the United States of America. They're basically saying to break the Constitution, to get rid of the three branches of government. So there's only one branch. The executive branch can do whatever it chooses to do. Exactly. That's basically saying that. So then that's why he's trying to tell, states, you know what, you should get away from there's no more mail-in ballots. I want everything voting to go on day of voting. This is the only thing, ID, XYZ, this, that, and the third, because he knows that most people are not going to have time to be able to get up and go and do it that day. So they're basically trying to break apart the system of governance that we have here, but so that he can make all rules.
Well, that's what they did before. See, they knew which districts that hit him last time, and they just curbed voting in those areas. You know what I'm saying? That's how he was able to win. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? They just stopped people from voting. Think about it. Truly in America, election day should be off. It should be a national holiday. Yeah. Election day, everyone should have election day off. Some places only have certain 2 voting booths for the whole county.
They don't want you to vote. That's just what it is. They don't want people to vote.
There's not going to be another election. I mean, not a presidential one.
Yeah, you've said that several times.
Yeah, he's not leaving. He doesn't have to. Who's going to make him? They can just write up laws saying, we're in a war time. If we're going to be in World War III, which is probably going to happen, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to leave. He's going to think about it. Folks, we're only less than 3 months into this, and everyone's life has been affected one way or another. And if it hasn't, it's because nobody likes you and no one wants you around. Dead ass. So think about it. We still got 3 years and 6 months to go.
And more than that.
You know what I'm saying?
So
and he's already breaking the will of people.
Think 2 months in almost.
What do? We lost part of our civil rights. Segregation is back. They're deporting people without
taking
even
away
telling
the jobs. Getting rid of people's jobs.
People's lost their jobs.
Stock market's crumbling.
The bird flu ain't stopped. Measles is back.
Yeah.
We ain't even 3 months deep. I told you it's going to be a crazy summer. It's going to be a crazy summer. I got one right here. Trump signs order to shift disaster preparation from FEMA to states and local governments. U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday signed an executive order that seeks to shift responsibility for disaster preparations to state and local governments, deepening the drive to overhaul the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. The order's first previewed by the White House on March 10th calls for a review of all infrastructures continuity and preparedness and response policies to update and simplify federal approach. It said common sense investment by state and local governments to address risks ranging from wildfires to hurricanes and cyber attacks would enhance national security, but did not detail what they were or how they would be funded. Preparedness is most effectively owned and managed at the state and local and even individual levels, supported by a competent, accessible, and efficient federal government. The order said, when states are empowered to make smart infrastructure choices, taxpayers benefit. The order calls for revising critical infrastructure policies to better reflect assessed risks instead of an all-hazard approach, the White House said in the fact sheet on the order. So how can you get your state prepared and then a hurricane, a tornado hits, and everything in your state is destroyed?
Yeah, they're basically trying to they just want to tear apart the entire federal government. This is what's kept, really states in a situation to where we should be. Why are we even in the United States if everything has to be taken back to the states? Why is that? They're trying to take education back to the states. They're trying to take FEMA now back to everything back to the states. It doesn't make sense. You think that California can deal with the wildfire, paying for the wildfire by itself? After they've put billions and billions of dollars into the federal government to help pay for other people's states. It doesn't make sense. They're going through wildfires right now in Oklahoma. They went through them not too long ago here over in that New York and not New York. I'm sorry, North Carolina and South Carolina, somewhere around there. They were going through them over there as well too. And so it gets to a point to where we have to start looking at this for what it is. It's actually he's ripping apart the fabric of what this country is slowly, bit by bit.
Well, I mean, that's what Republicans want to rely on their states. They'd be like, take the laws back to the states, right? But they want to rely on blue states to fund them.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if we stopped it, because now you see it, they're trying to hide it. But the Republican states are coming out like, look, hey, man, I thought you was just going to do the people we don't like. Like, you affected all of us. Like, the parents are having to worry about, you're cutting the Board of Education. That supports us. Exactly. You're cutting off Section 8, DSHS, and food stamps. That's us. They're the poorest states. And so, I mean, let the states handle it. Let us fund ourselves, right? If we don't have to give it to the federal government, guess what? The West Coast is going to be fine. Arizona is going to be fine. Nevada is going to be fine. New York's going to be fine. Illinois is going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? I'll even say Texas is a red state. Texas is going to be fine. Now, you little other states that have nothing else to offer the rest of the country except for taking money, you're going to suffer and your people are going to suffer. And you know that because you're trying to have town halls with your senators and your congressmen, and they're ignoring you. They're not coming. You're screaming at it. I've seen the videos. You can try to hide it on the news, but I've seen the videos. You're not showing up. The people are already struggling. You have hella federal jobs. Those people aren't working. Those economies are crashing right now.
It's like he's actually put this a whole play in place so that we fight within each other until we basically rip apart. Because I mean, if they say those states that we're talking about, a lot of them are maybe Midwest states and poor Southern states. They're more agricultural states. Now I'm going to raise the price of my food and my goods to your other states. I'm going to damn near put a tariff on my goods going into your state. I have to in order to make money. If you want to pass through my state to go somewhere else, you got to pay me to do that. You get what I'm saying? It's going to change the way America operates. And I only remember one country having this type of a vision for America tearing itself apart from within. There's probably a few others, but Russia talked about this all the time. We won't even have to fire a single shot. We've got a plan in place to tear you guys apart from within. This is what they've talked about. Putin's talked about it himself. There's a whole video about him talking about it. I can't remember if it was Nikita Khrushchev or somebody else talked about it years and years ago as well, decades ago, talked about this as well. So this is like, he's putting a plan in place. He's putting the play together exactly what other countries have wanted to happen in this country, where infighting it rules. And they
told him that, if you can destabilize America where we go into a recession, then they can buy up everything. Because so in their mind, they're thinking, hey, this can be a profit for us. And other countries are looking like, yes, destabilize them enough. And if all of us attack them at once, there's nothing you can do. Because think about it, who's going to come save you? You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to back Ukraine and NATO, why would they come defend us? You know what I'm saying? They can just watch us crumble. The reason they would defend us, because they know if we crumble, they go next. But if we already left them hanging, they'd be like, hey, whatever. They're going to work out something with the BRICS and get it back together.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
China's BYD launches EV charging system. It says works nearly as fast as a fill-up. China's energy and auto giant BYD has announced an ultra-fast EV charging system that it says is nearly as quick as a fill-up at the pumps. BYD, China's largest EV maker, said Monday that its flash chargers can provide a full charge for its latest EVs within 5 to 8 minutes, similar to the amount of time needed to fill a tank of gas. It plans to build more than 4,000 of the new charging stations across China. Charging times and limited ranges have been major factors constraining the switch from gas and diesel vehicles to EVs, though Chinese drivers have embraced that change, with sales of battery-powered hybrid vehicles jumping 40% last year. BYD's news appeared to give Tesla a jolt on Monday as U.S. EV makers share price share price sank 4.8%. BYD stands for Build Your Dreams. Began pre-sales of its Han L and Tang L models, which are upgraded versions of earlier models. The Chinese company started making batteries and has been refining its battery and energy storage technology while building an auto empire that is expanding outside China. It says its 1 megawatt flash chargers can provide power for 400 kilometers, nearly 250 miles in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I saw the video of that. Like, I saw one in China where the person, they pull into there, with the China EV, and one of them, it just took the battery out and put the new battery in.
Okay.
And there's a reason they won't let these EVs in America, because if they do, it would just decimate the electric vehicles here.
But we also know that their government subsidizes. This is the same thing with their wind turbines. Their government subsidizes their vehicles so they can sell them for so cheap. They subsidize their whole industries. A lot of these industries are government owned. A lot of these companies, in China, most of their companies are all government owned, one way or another, whether it's 100% government owned or whether it's partially government owned. It's owned by the government. So they're subsidizing. They're able to say, we'll take the hit so you can make the cheaper vehicles and flood the market and let you grow your share. Once you crush the competition, you always can raise your prices a bit from there.
Yeah, like Walmart.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like Amazon, if you really look at what Amazon did, they had money. They wouldn't making money for years. People were like, they were like, mad at Bezos. Like, man, when are you guys going to turn a profit? He's like, no, I'm building out. He just kept on taking the money that he made, and then also money that he was burning through from new investors putting money in, and just building like more of those factories, more of those like those distribution plants. So now they can make money because he's everywhere now.
And the scary thing about Amazon and all these places you order stuff online, yeah, we're losing all these brick and mortar stores because they can't compete, because we're going straight to we're cutting out the middleman, going straight to the factory. But imagine this. Now, all the rich people run everything, right? Once you get out of line, they cut off your supplies. Now you're not getting your groceries. Now you're not getting your clothes. You're not getting your toilet paper. So beware, folks. Hey, comfort comes at a price. It always comes at a price.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And with that, folks, we're going to see you until next time. Is Uncommon Courtesy.